Lakshay, hi. Hi, everyone. Hello, Pranav. Okay, okay. Let's just start. Welcome to the second episode of Under the Hood by Underdog. Today we are going to talk about one of my favorite games, favorite independent games. uh, this game is this game is called Limbo, and anybody and everybody who loves playing independent games, indie games specifically, have definitely heard of Limbo before. Um, so, in this episode, we are just going to talk about Limbo. Some of my points, some of the things that I wanted to talk about from a storytelling perspective, from a game design perspective, not really level design, but just the way the game tells a story. Right? Uh, are we gonna do it? I don't. I look. I'm. We are just going to talk about it. We are not going to make a game uh, today. So yeah, let's begin. Before I jump into things that makes Limbo stand out or different or uh, successful. Right, we'll just talk about few pointers for the people who have not heard about Limbo before. So Limbo is a first is a side scroller puzzle platform adventure game. It was made by Playdead back in 2010, and if you don't know, um, Playdead, it's a very small studio based in Denmark. They started back in 2006, and Playdead and Limbo was their very first hit that that made them good name. Once Limbo was done, they made Inside, which was again another successful game with a lot of awards and good amount of revenues. Right, so Limbo basically is a puzzle platformer. It falls into an environmental puzzle category where the player has to overcome obstacles which are a part of the environment, and the story is that you are set in a on a journey to find your sister. I'll talk about the story a little bit after a while, but before that, the developers, what do the developers think about this game? The developers say that this game has a different kind of um, a mechanic which they call as trial and death, where you figure out something, and to solve that puzzle you keep on trying. You only reach to a solution when you die at least once. There's a kind of idea that they came up with. The aesthetics, the visuals are completely dark because the game is in black and white. So the presentation is really dark. It's kind of a creepy game, but still it teaches a lot of things to the player. Yes, it's in a monochrome format. It's a very artistic game, and it's one of the first few games which changed the overall landscape of independent games. Um, People started experimenting a lot with their games after Limbo because it's purely artistic with the storytelling format. Also, if you look at it doesn't have a single dialogue in the game, but still it tells a very beautiful story. Also, this game falls into, it has gone into Hall of Fame. It is titled as one of the greatest games of all time, and this particular title is given to few of the bigger hits like Pong, Space Invader, Mario, SimCity, and a lot of big games. So played as Limbo falls into this category as well, because it was one of the, back in 2010 when the game came out, it was one of the highest selling games on Xbox Live Arcade. It made, I think it made around $7-8 million during that time when it was launched. And on top of that, it has won a lot of awards because of the kind of the story that the game tells. All right, so that was a brief about the game for all those who don't know what Limbo is. Do check out the game on Steam store. It is there. It's a damn good game. It has a complete fresh you know uh, way of telling you the story. And you might have played a lot of puzzle platformers, like a normal 2D side-scrolling platformer. If you also don't understand what a side-scrolling platformer is, it's basically Mario. But it has a lot of depth into it. Limbo has a lot of depth into it. You can also, have there are parts of the story that are connected to the elements in the depth of the environment as well. All right. So before we jump into why people really love Limbo, I'm just going to take you through one thing that we have introduced on creator.club. It's the auction tab. If you see on the right hand side, you'll see there's an auction tab. There are two options over there. If you want to have a one-on-one session with me, you can bid here. And if you want to join the live stream, you can bid on that. I'll explain it in detail once I'm done with the session. But for now, just while listening to this story, you can just take a look at what the auction tab is, and I'll take you through the process once I am done with the game. Let's just talk about the story first. Why people really love Limbo. To start with, Limbo, brought, like I mentioned, brought a really fresh outlook to the games, to the independent games. It was a risk that the developers took, because none of the games were like that. Specifically, independent games, none of those games fell into that category before. It's a very dark game. It's something that the gamers didn't see before. And apart from the noir-based black and white art style and eerie aesthetics of the game, plus the calming music that the game brought, Limbo brought a lot more for the players, and I will talk about some of those pointers now. So beginning with the story, you play as a child who wakes in this scary world and finds that his sister is missing. That's the plot, right? And the developers make a very smart move by putting you under a very solid emotional burden of saving your family. Since you realize that your sister is missing and you're finding her, you directly go into that pressure, a burden of doing something for your family. Plus, the protagonist is a kid who gamers hardly played before in other games, right? You don't have any weapons, you have nothing. You're just a helpless kid in a very scary world. That puts you, into that zone of just playing safe, right? On top of this, the environment is either filled with scary obstacles or open landscapes that obviously puts you on edge to think and play safe. So that's the plot, and the very first moment of the game, the very first minute of the game, there's no storytelling. There is nothing that there's no cutscene. There's nothing that the developers wanted you to tell before you start playing the game. It's just a dark screen that fades in with a small kid waking up into this scary world and just moving towards his right, and he then encounters obstacles on his way. Everything about the story is unique. The protagonist, who is obviously a miner with no weapons, the visuals of the world, which unknowingly tells a story about it, right, and the environment, which has sudden obstacles that can give you a brutal kill, and the search for another pity life that has to survive, right? So all these things together, uh, just force you to just people start playing games, people play games for fun, but when you start this game, you get this sense of responsibility just going into this game, because the deaths are also very brutal. I'll talk about that part also, but the story beautifully captures everything that you are afraid of when you were a kid. So the perspective, like if I'm a game designer, if I'm a game developer, if I want to scare the player, if I want to uh, throw some obstacles in front of him, there are basic things, right? There are zombies, there are bullets, there are guns, people using those things, and you throw these enemies in front of these people. But because this game completely is from the POV of this kid, the whole setup revolves around a nightmare. Um, you know, it it captures everything that you might have been afraid of when you were a kid. It captures all those smaller details of all sorts of nightmares from a kid's perspective. Being scared of, for example, being scared of monsters, sudden jump of a spider on you, or be it falling in the sleep itself, right? So all these things, right, these are the kind of obstacles, this is the environment that keeps on, these are the things that environment keeps on pushing towards you. And that makes it very interesting. It literally portrays the world of this kid and the things that he's scared of, right? All of this together adds the most important ingredient to this game, and that is the feel. That is the feeling of being scared as a kid, a feeling of saving your sister because you are the only hope, right? And also feeling powerful enough to achieve whatever you imagine to, right? In the game, you'll encounter a spider who is 50 times bigger than you, but you still manage to overcome that hurdle, right? So it teaches a lot of things throughout the game. But that's that's the beauty of this game. All the deaths, talking about the deaths. Which company built Limbo? The company is called Playdead. It was started back in 2006, and after Limbo, which was which was widely successful, they made Inside, and that was also on the similar line, similar mechanic, but that wasn't really a black and white game. It had colors into it, but still, you can call it as a level two. It was like an upgraded version of Limbo. Again, a similar dark story about a kid, but that was also very successful, and now they're working on a third game. So do check out the company. I read that creating constraints are super important while designing it. I haven't played Limbo, just curious how does Limbo use constraints. There are a lot of things. There are a lot of constraints that the game uses. I'll get into it in some time. Um, all the deaths that you see in the game, right? All the deaths are brutal, just like your impossible nightmares. The way in which your character or dies emphasizes the emotional experience of being a child. No blood, no screams, no guns, but pure brutal death, and a sad feeling to see the innocent child dying in its own way. Right? So it's very creepy, but it's a damn good puzzle-driven game where you consistently try to overcome the obstacles. But before that, you consistently keep on dying. And talking about that, like you basically to win something, you consistently keep failing. But that's one of the beautiful part of the game. Which game engine is used to build this game? This game is made in Unity. As far as I am aware, it's made in Unity. Um, and if you want to, check out some more details on how they made this game, there's a video on YouTube, which is a part of GDC Vault. The game designers and the technical team has presented the the technicalities of the game in that video. How did they achieve the visual quality of the game in terms of in terms of technical art? So if you check that, yeah, it's 100% made in Unity. I just remembered. They have shown all the aspects of the features that Unity has and how they used it to create such a beautiful visual representation, right? So talking about the failures, right, within the game. Um, if I talk about the moral it gives out every time you play Limbo, it's nothing but overcoming failures. The game doesn't make you rush to achieve the objectives or the end goal. If you die, you don't lose the game. Right? If you die, you don't lose. Also, there are no lives that keep on decreasing once you die. If you die, you just reset from the last checkpoint, and the last checkpoint is just near to what you were at that point. So you just reset. Metaphorically, I think as a storyteller, I think metaphorically, it's just like life, where no failure is the final failure. Right? You need to get up and try again. That's something that the designers have added to the game. So it is one of the most important aspect of the game, and I think that is what keep people engaged in the game to continuously try and overcome the obstacles. All right. Is programming language important in game development? 100%. If you so at this moment in India, there are two tools people are using. One is Unity, and the other one is Unreal. If you focus on Unity, both the tools, not just Unity, both the tools provide visual scripting, which is you don't need code to script the game. Unreal does it on a bigger scale. They call it blueprints. But if you ask me as a game developer, if you want to scale up, if you want to grow, if you want to be very skilled in your craft, I think you need to know the programming languages. You can't keep making complex games just by visual scripting with blueprints or not knowing those programming languages. If you want to become a programmer, you need to know the programming language. You can't create a complex game in blueprints. Just to give you an example, it's just like driving a car. So visual scripting is like an automatic car, and the program knowing the programming languages is like knowing how to drive a manual car with the gears, right? You would be very good in doing those blueprints, but the day you want to drive a manual car, you can't, right? You just can't, because you only know what to do the other thing. So it's exactly like this. You can't code complex stuff using blueprints. I'm beginner, so can I start learn programming languages first, or start game design, or learn Unity engine? You don't do everything, right? If you want to start your career in gaming in India, you need to focus on one domain. Either you become a game programmer or you become a game designer. there is no point in doing everything. Knowing everything is a good, is a good thing. If you someday aspire to make your own game, then it's useful. But if you want to start your career in any company, you just can't go to the company and tell them, I know game design, I know game programming, hire me. This is not what companies are looking for. Companies require specialization. If you have an interest in game design, just focus on game design, build a great portfolio, and then go to the company. If you are interested in game programming, learn those skills, create a portfolio, create few demos and prototypes, and then go to a company. You can't do both the things. So to answer your question, if you are a beginner, you first, instead of choosing, instead of starting to learn programming languages or game design or Unity engine, first you need to identify what is it that you like, and what is it that you can, you know, create a career in. It's either programming language or game design. It's either game programming or game design. So first figure that out. Let's talk about inside also. I'll quickly uh, I'll quickly give you some brief on Inside as well. It's also a puzzle platform, and this was made in 2016. In fact, I did a complete walkthrough of this game on my YouTube channel. So if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel on YouTube, just go and subscribe to the channel. Specifically in Inside, you know, it's it's set up in the similar kind of of a world, but this is like a dystopian world. But the core mechanics of solving puzzles, solving the environmental puzzles and avoiding deaths is as similar as Limbo. So again, like I mentioned, it's everything that you have in Limbo. It's just upgraded in Inside. Why people love this game so much, as it is 2D and have similar concept of Mario. I spoke about a lot of things just now. Why people, love this game. To be honest, like to sum everything up, it it's it's very unique. It's something that people never played before, right? And the gamers who are interested in independent games, they always keep on looking out for fresh new games, new concepts, right? And this is like a great twist, great mix of an adventure game into adventure, creepy or a horror game into a side scroller game, which has this super emotional burden on top of it while you play the game. It's dark, but still people love to go in the game, be there, you know, play the game, play the story, because there's a uh, apart from just playing and solving those puzzles, there's a greater satisfaction and gratification towards the end of the game, which people are very much in love with. So that's one of the things that I believe people really love. One of the best things that the creators have done in Limbo is the storytelling with no dialogues. There are a lot of games which has a set of dialogues. Complete storytelling is done through dialogues, right? Even if you see a game like Thomas Was Alone, it was 2D, but it had a lot of the story. It didn't have characters like human characters, just the shapes, but still the story was told through a proper narration, right, throughout the game. The story of Thomas Was Alone was also very powerful. But what Limbo did here is they reached that level of excellence without using any dialogue in the game. It just opens the game up for the users to fill in the gaps, first. Then they live the story from their perspective. You know, because at start of the game you don't really get a sense of what exactly you're doing in this world. You slowly start getting a sense of each and every bit of the overall story when you progress in the game. But but every player that plays the game has its own story, you know, while he's playing this game. If you check the definition of limbo, it's basically a place where the souls of kids remain who just died. Right? It's a state. So the closest theory to this game is you play as a kid who is in his limbo state at the moment before going to either heaven or hell based on his deeds. So all that you do throughout the game, results in the next state of your life. So it's very powerful. The very powerful messaging as well. Uh, what is one second? Let me answer a few questions. What is the difference? One second. What is the difference between game programmer and game designer? Game programmer is the one who codes the game, who uses programming languages and scripting like C Sharp, C++, and codes the game. Game designer is the one who does not require any tools, any digital tools. He is the one who writes the game, who writes the story of the games, writes about the characters, writes about the background of the characters, um, and the whole game even before the game goes into the production. And this everything can be written in a simple document. Right, that's a major difference. Okay, before answering the rest of the questions, I'll jump onto this auction part. Okay, if you see here, expand. Okay, if you see this is the auction panel that we have introduced. There are two sections into it. One is the one-on-one membership, mentorship. If you just place your bid over here, you just have to place the bid. There's a amount that you can put and place the bid. If you win the bid, you'll get a one-on-one session with me. And it's basically 30 minutes face-to-face talk where you can ask all kinds of questions related to game development, any doubts in the career side of the game development industry, or any other thing related to gaming, right? That can be done in this session. So if you are willing to have a one-on-one conversation with me on any of these things, just place your bid over here. And I'll accept the bid, and we'll do a one-on-one call. The second thing here is joining the live stream. The next live stream that I'll be doing next week, I'll be having one of you, or probably any number of people who bid on this section. They will be with me on this episode, on the next episode in the live stream. So if you're willing to have like a 10-15 minutes of a conversation live while people are watching you, you can bid for this particular thing. So yeah, that is the bidding. There's the auction system. So if you're willing to understand more about the game development industry or the careers, please go to the auction section and bid your bid. All right. If this were made in 3D, it would be more interesting. What do you think? It's an independent game, firstly. It obviously has its own fun in terms of 2D. If you see the game, I personally believe, or probably I believe because I have seen a lot of videos, this game is 3D. Limbo is a 3D game, but it's in the orthographic view. Because if you see a lot of elements in the game, easily understand that everything that you see is 3D. It's just that you see silhouettes of everything, right? Um, this is for Limbo, but when you play inside, you also have an opportunity to play in the depth. So while you are traveling from point A to point B in your right direction, you can also, in some part of the games, you can also go towards uh, the far end, right, within the game, which is because it's 3D, right? Um, in terms of commercials, right, because it's a independent game and the team is very small, it is a very smart move to cut down the assets when you have a 3D plus a side scrolling thing, because in your field of view there are limited things that you can put, right, which cut down a lot of cost in terms of asset creation. So independent developers tend to use these kind of tricks to, tell a story, put out a great gameplay, but at the same time cut down the cost. Is there any specific game design course which is useful? Which game designer course would you recommend? Amog, I don't really recommend institutes or colleges, to be honest, because I don't see any college or institute providing a um, proper course that only has game design into it. I've seen a lot of colleges titling their course as game design degree or game design diploma, but they end up teaching 3D tools like 3D Max and Maya in that course, which for a game designer are not at all important. They never use these tools in their life. Right? So I don't recommend that. But I think one of the biggest platforms to learn game design is YouTube. Then there are a lot of courses on Udemy. There are courses on Coursera. You should definitely, you know, buy these courses and follow these courses. Um, I know one college which can teach you the design as a subject, right? Because game design is basically a subset of design. And one of the best institutes in India which focuses on design as a core is National Institute of Design. So probably having some kind of course, a diploma course of a year or so, you can do in this institute. Apart from that, I really don't believe in other institutes who are saying their course is 3 to 4 years and it costs you around 15 to 20 lakhs. I would say just don't do that. Is government focused and supporting to game development? They have started it. They were not doing it before, but we are seeing a lot of things happening in gaming industry from the government side, at least in the last 1 year. So I think in the coming couple of years we'll have more grants or funds opening up from the government side for the game development, for the independent scene as well. What things in a resume should someone have to apply for a game development coding internship according to you? Um, when a resume is just one thing. You need to have that one-page resume for sure. But along with that, I would recommend having a single-page website. Just register a simple domain on GoDaddy or any of these domain websites. Have a single-page website about you, in which there are only two sections. One is about you, and the second one is is a collection of demos and prototypes that you have created yourself, because you want to become a game programmer. If you can showcase what you have made in Unity to the people, that's very impressive. Increases the chances of getting selected. So for me, I think resume is one part. See, because if the employers get your resume, they're still not aware. You can put a lot of things into your resume, but they're still not sure if you're capable of doing those things, or whatever work they want you to do. But if you show the work that you have done on any link, it's going to you know give you plus points. So just have that in place. What programming language is a technical artist? It's technical artist basically is a link between a programmer and an artist who understands a lot of visual elements, while he can also code, right? One of the core things that technical artists do is shader programming. There are a lot of things in games which does not require a proper animation, but those animations can be achieved using shaders. And that is something that technical artists are very good at. They are programmers, they are scripters who understand visual aspects along with knowing programming. So that's uh, that's the beauty of a technical artist. And in India, there are very few technical artists. Also, the requirement for technical artists is also very less, because not many companies are working on bigger titles on PC and consoles, right? And for mobile, you do require people, skilled technical guys who understand visuals, but still, if you ask me if there is a separate position that people are looking for as a technical artist, I would say very few, very few. As a 3D modeler, what things should I have in my portfolio? Um, all the 3D models, assets with texture, or or if you know texturing as well, just add it in your portfolio. But first, don't put too many things. Just put 10, 15 things. Then try uh, adding a wide range of things. Just don't put one particular kind of elements. Like few people uh, just put guns as the 3D models of guns. That is it. There's no organic element into it. So if you are a 3D modeler, I would expect organic as well as non-organic elements. So some part of, like say, animal or human, and the non-organic objects, right? And then the third point is, if you're putting one object, try dissecting that object. Try putting different versions of that object, like a simple white box object. Then there is a occlusion done to that object. Then there's a texture unwrapping done to that same object. So it clearly tells the employer what is the process that you follow throughout. Is there any specific game design? Okay. Okay. With a game like Limbo, where it's a lot about the feel of the game, how do you go about playtesting? It is it's usually uh, it's usually done within the focus group itself, and I think it's not different than any other game, but playtesting usually, uh, the feel in playtesting, the feel is just one of the parts, right? Because playtesting majorly focuses on FTUE to begin with, the first time user experience, right? Um, the main idea of doing playtesting is to understand what the player is doing. How is he feeling is the secondary part, right? And that is something that can be taken into account once they play it, once you see what they have done, and then doing a proper questionnaire with these people. Right? So that's how it is done. So the very first primary thing is to understand the FTUE, and then one-on-one understanding what they felt about the game. One of the best ways to do this is showcasing your game in the conferences or exhibitions. There are a lot of events in India which happen, right, where you can showcase your game to a lot more people. Okay. When you do those kind of things, all you do in that booth is to just note down what people are doing, and then once they play it, get a proper feedback of it. Every event, every exhibition that you travel to, you need to have that notebook which has all the feedback, and then try to iterate it. I think if it's just like a just like a fighting game, an action game, a combat game. You know what the player feels, right? One of the examples, I'll tell you one example that happened with us also. We made a game called Till the Dawn Waiting. It was about a dog. It was about a dog who is waiting for his owner, who the owner um, ran away, in a hurricane uh, that happened in Florida. So this dog, this puppy, is waiting on the bench for the owner to come back, and it was a very emotionally draining game. We couldn't extend the game for more than 30 minutes. We made that game as a game jam game, exhibited in a IGDC, and we saw people not able to taking. They were confused to take a last call. We had choices in that game. We had multiple choices, and the game lasted for 30 minutes. We had people who chose the right thing. We had people who chose the wrong thing. We had people who couldn't make a choice and they started crying. Uh, we had reporters. There was one of the reporters who just couldn't take a call what to choose at the end of the game because it was very heartbreaking. The game was completely an emotional roller coaster. So we didn't have this idea when we built this game. We didn't have this idea, but when we saw people at the end of the game, and when we spoke to them and what they felt about the game, then we understood, and uh, we capitalized on that feel. So we tried to work on that. What about Backstage Pass? It has good reviews, but like I said, I really don't recommend any institutes. It also becomes biased to you. So you do your own research. Talk to the students who have completed that course from Backstage Pass, and you'll get a better idea. If artists only know only Blender, isn't he jogging? If you know Blender, it's a plus point for you because if you can make elements in Blender, you can make 3D elements in any tool, in Maya or Max, right? Blender is quite complicated compared to the other two tools. Also, in gaming companies in India, um, a lot of studios are smaller studios who tend to use free tools, and they would love if you know Blender because it's free, and if you can, bring out the same quality on Blender that you can do on 3D Max or Maya, they are happy to take you. What games are you building these days? We're working on Mukti, and you'll see something coming out very soon. So you want to hire someone as a game designer, what qualities you want in it? Do check out my video on YouTube. I have elaborated it really. All right. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. I think that was it for this episode. Just pointed out few things that I feel makes Limbo stand out among the other games. And after Limbo, a lot of people started experimenting on similar category, on experimental category. Few of them were very successful, just like Limbo. But Limbo really set the bar very high. So thank you once again. If you still are looking for a one-on-one mentorship, just go and choose the option thing, and I'll accept the bid, and we can do this 30-minute call. For now, this is it. I'll meet you next week with yet another game, and we'll talk and discuss about uh, a different game. Right. Thank you again for being on the stream. See you all. Bye bye.